Thank you so much for joining us. You have been on our little roster for a little bit, and I have been so excited to have you on here because I have been following you for a while and I just love all the things you're doing. I'm on your newsletter. I get all these things and I'm like, holy crap, I love what she's doing. So I'm super excited that you're on here. I know Nikki follows you too, and we've just been super excited to have you on. So thank you so much for joining us. But you guys, so I know not everybody, or maybe not everybody knows who Alyssa is, but Alyssa, do you want to give us like a quick intro about you and what you're going to be talking about today? Because I'm pumped.
Yeah, it's actually built into my slide deck, so I could go ahead and get started if
Wow.
you want. Okay,
Yes,
of course
that's what
it
Mondays do.
is. We could do it either way, but I
All right, I
definitely
just
see a
gave you
few.
co-host, so you should
Thank
be able
you.
to share now.
Perfect. Well, I'm so excited to be here. I see a few familiar faces that I know from Instagram, probably. Like I see Angie in here, Mary, a few people. So nice to see you all. And thank you so much for having me. Do you want me to admit people? Because
No,
it's
I'm
okay.
still
Okay, you got
admitting,
it.
so
Okay.
you're good.
All right.
Don't worry about that part.
I've had to multitask on Zoom. I'm not that good at it, but I can do it.
No,
Okay.
I'll do that for you. You get to focus on you here.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna pull up my slides. Bear with me, guys. Okay. Still a little early where I'm at, so I just like chugged my coffee. And I'm like,
I appreciate it. Donovan is also on West Coast time. I don't know who else is, but we appreciate you getting up early to help us here today.
I am up early. I just don't get going as I have little ones. But
Oh,
we
I
are
get
here.
that
We're
too.
alive. I get up at like 4:35
Ew,
usually. So I
ew,
know.
that's gross.
I
I don't
know.
know why you do that, but
I
okay,
know.
whatever works for you.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So today we're going to talk about elevating your conversion strategy, really, but your marketing in general with email marketing. We're going to talk about how to convert more leads with email marketing specifically. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me. If we don't yet know each other, I'm Alyssa Stalker. I'm part of EXP. I'm part of Powerhouse EXP, and I've been with the company for 2 years. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok. The handle is the same, the Alyssa Stalker. Alyssa Stalker was taken. I don't think I'm like that important to put a "the" in front of it, but hey, that made the most sense. I'm a mom of 2. This is my little family over here. This picture was taken a little bit ago. My kids are a little older now. They're 3 and 5 currently. And I live in Ventura County, California. And if you don't know where that is, it's considered Southern California. We're this like coastal region right between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara. So if those are any reference points for you guys of where I'm at. For lack of a better term, you could consider me a serial entrepreneur. My husband and I collectively own 5 different businesses, and they're very diversified. I have a background in digital marketing, specifically in the e-commerce space for well over a decade now. My husband and I have started, and some stopped, but started multiple businesses, mostly in the product and e-commerce space. We are lucky enough to sell 2 companies that we started out of our garage. And with that, we began investing in real estate with fix and flips. And at the time, you can see me here, I was pregnant. I was a little baby agent. I was with another brokerage. You can see over here, these are some of our products. They've been on like TV, and we had a copper barware company. If you guys have ever had a Moscow Mule, we were the world's largest distributor of copper mugs. So that was one of the companies that we sold. So when I got into real estate through investing, I had a hard time finding an agent that I wanted to hire to represent us. Finding the properties was one thing, and that's, especially as an investor, it's really relationship based. But when you go to sell a property, you really need a good marketer. And I saw that the real estate industry was just so far behind, especially at the time. People weren't even really using social media for real estate very well beyond like a Facebook page. So they were just, as an industry, it was much further behind than what I was used to in the online like product world. So I decided to get my license. Coincidentally, I went to real estate school for no reason at all, like a year before, but I got licensed just so I could represent our properties. I fell in love with the job, and I just felt like I had this skill set, and I felt like it married kind of all of the things that light me up, working with people, being able to flex my marketing skills, and just doing something really meaningful and impactful. Products are not necessarily changing someone's life, but we get to be a part of these incredible milestones for people. So I love that. So that's a little bit of my background. As you heard, I love building businesses. I love multiple revenue streams. I do believe that real estate is the fastest and most sustainable path to early retirement, and that is my goal. Out of all the things that we do, I think that real estate is a pathway for anyone. You don't have to invent anything. You don't have to do anything crazy or change the world. You can have such a successful career being a real estate agent. And I love that. I love how accessible it is. So that's another reason I love to teach some of these things with others. I also believe it lends lifestyle to flexible hours. So I'm more present with my family. Another part of that is using digital marketing and automation and systems and tools like I'm going to show you today to create leverage in my life so that I can spend more time with my family. My love of revenue streams fits perfect with the EXP model. So that's ultimately how I found myself there. And I love making money while I sleep. I call it sleeping money. That's what automation allows you to do. It just frees up more of your time. And I love waking up to that or knowing that something's working in the background when I'm not. I love drawing inspiration from what works in outside industries. So that's really how a lot of my marketing strategy came to be. They're things that I pulled from other influences in other industries. Hold on, you guys. I lost my slide deck. I got to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I grew my own businesses using growth strategies from product marketing in the e-commerce space. I brought that into real estate. So I've used digital marketing and social media from like day one since I've been an agent. So that's my background. I know it's a little bit winded, but I wanted to give you context on all of this. So today we're going to be discussing one of the most powerful conversion tools in digital marketing, and that is using email to convert more leads. And I'm going to break it all down for you guys. There will be time for questions at the end. But feel free to drop anything in the chat. And Nicole or Nikki, if you want to let me know or stop me, please feel free. Let me know if something comes up. I don't mind answering as things come up because sometimes you need to make it make sense to what we're talking about. So, does anybody here follow Jenna Kutcher? Do we love her? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not just a podcaster. She is an email queen. She really puts emphasis on the fact that email has helped her grow so massively. And I love that she shares that. And she also teaches it to creators or podcasters, coaches, things like that. I love sharing her stats because they're very empowering and speak highly of how effective email works. And it's for any industry. So we're going to apply this specifically to real estate, but these stats are in general. Email marketing is the most effective marketing strategy of 2023. It's not affiliate marketing. It's not paid Instagram ads. It's not having viral reels. These are all things that you can do. This is something you can do without having to be like an influencer or have a mega profile on social media. Email is something for everyone. And it receives an average ROI of 4,200%. Part of the reason it has such a great ROI is because it's free, but it's wildly successful. So I do want to ask, who here is using social media right now to lead generate for their business? Raise your hand. I can't see everyone, but you could also drop a yes in the chat. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. Me too. So we're going to talk about how email can help that. So if you think about that ROI we just talked about and how that translates to real estate commissions, that's absolutely wild, absolutely massive, right? So the reason that email marketing is so effective for lead generation on top of just doing social media is because if you're only building an audience on social media and you're selling right now from the DMs, really, you don't actually own your content. You don't own your audience. I don't know if you guys remember, like a couple of years ago, Instagram went down for a day and everybody freaked out and all of a sudden they cared about their email list. Does anyone remember that when that happened? It's like only happened once, but you never know. But you don't actually own you don't own your account really. You're borrowing, you're renting space. So you're being a renter of your own business. You have to be on social media. You have to be present a lot, which is fine, but that's part of it. And you can be kind of disorganized or lose people like in the sales journey or relationship. And what I mean by this is if you're talking to someone in the DMs, like you might forget to follow up with them unless you have a really dialed in like follow-up system outside of the app. But Instagram does not foster a follow-up system in and of itself, like in its container of Instagram. I don't know if you guys also noticed this, but have you ever had like a friend that you're following and then all of a sudden, like 3 months later, that you notice that you haven't seen them in a while on Instagram, like their content has disappeared? Has anybody ever noticed that? They're like, what happened to their bubble? Like I used to see all their stories and now I don't see them anymore. That's because it's not possible to reach your full entire audience on Instagram. Only a small percentage of your followers actually see your content. And unless it's a reciprocal thing, unless you guys are both engaging with each other, you're going to start missing each other and stop seeing each other's content. So you might be missing out on connecting with those people on a consistent basis to stay top of mind. And you might be missing out on connecting with prospects who aren't even on social media. So think about all the people you meet out in the wild, at an open house, at a community event. They may not have social media. So it can't be a one-trick pony. So that's where email is going to come in. And I'm going to explain all that. So I'm not saying to stop using social media to grow your real estate business. In fact, don't do that at all. I want you to use it more. And I want you to use it to actually help you build an audience that you can get off of the app and convert specifically with email marketing. That's the key. So we use social media to meet more people and to market to a large audience almost instantaneously, which is amazing. We can cast a really broad net really quickly by using social media. And the content that we create there helps potential prospects know, like, and trust us. And so that's ultimately how they decide to work with us. If they're ready. But if we get them off of the app and then we can connect with them outside of social media using email, we have that opportunity for very consistent top of mind awareness. There is 100% content delivery rate on email marketing. 100% of people are going to get the email that you send out. And it allows you to deep dive into topics that share way more value than you have space for in a caption. And by using email marketing, you do have the ability to automate your business as much as possible. So that's another reason that I love it. There are many ways to get your prospects or your audience off of the app through database building strategies. And yes, that is an entire different class. That's honestly probably like a 4-week course. But I'm going to give you guys some quick tips on ways that you can get people off of Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media app you're using, how to get them out of the app and start building a database. So one of the ways is by using KV Core. Does everyone here have access to KV Core? Is this an open group or is
Yeah,
this
is like
EXP?
open to
Okay.
all brokerages. So not just
Perfect. Okay. I'm sorry about that. So
No,
I'm
it's
going
okay.
to talk about a tool that we have at EXP specifically, and other brokerages have it too. It's one that I like to use. And there are other solutions. You can adapt this strategy for whatever CRM you're using. I'm going to tell you like all the tools that I use as well. They're not exclusive to this strategy. You can figure out how to plug and play whatever tools you have access to work for you. I never want to create a strategy that's limiting based on a specific tool. Hence why we want to get people out of Instagram. We don't want to rely on one thing. So the strategy will work with whatever you want to use, but I'm going to talk specifically to KV Core because I think it is an amazing CRM and it has some really unique lead capture and lead generation components. So if you're not tracking with me on it or you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm happy to help you like find a solution to make this connect for you. So one of the reasons I love using KV Core is we have the ability to create a squeeze page. A squeeze page is kind of like a compiled list of listings on a link, like a private link that It's basically a tracking link. And what it will do is when somebody clicks that link to view these specified properties, they have to opt in to view them by giving their email. So maybe it's immediately once they click the link, or maybe they can look at like 1 or 2 properties, and then all of a sudden it's going to ask them for their email to keep seeing them. It's an amazing lead capture tool. And it will ask for their email at minimum. And I put that in my stories almost every day, every other day, very, very consistently. So an example of how I'm using this to collect email addresses would be, most properties in my market get listed on Thursday. And this is me like talking on social media on my stories and saying like, hey, we just had a bunch of new listings hit the market. If you'd like to see them, here's a link to all the freshest listings in town. And then I drop this link, and anyone who's going to go click on it, number one, I learned that someone's potentially interested in doing something with real estate. And then number two, I'm going to capture their information and get them outside of Instagram. Not everybody that I've worked with that's originally come from social media has actually converted on social media. I have a lot of people I've had no idea they were even looking for something. So that's why a tool like this is really powerful to have in your toolbox. Another thing that you can use is a newsletter opt-in form. Feel free to screenshot this. These are just little pictures of what these different things look like. This is a newsletter opt-in form I have on my website. I also recently implemented in my link in bio, I implemented what's called Stand Store. If you guys haven't heard of it, I love it so much more than Linktree or anything else. And I'm going to share links to literally every tool I use at the end of this. So don't worry, you don't have to like quickly rush what it's called. But the reason I love it is because it has forms built into it, and it's amazing for lead capture. So whether I want to ask someone to opt into my newsletter, or I want to share a lead magnet, which would be like a valuable resource, like a local guide, maybe a prep checklist for getting your house ready to sell. Maybe it's a home maintenance checklist, a first-time buyer guide, whatever it is. It allows me to quickly share it with someone in one link or one click and capture their email. So all these are ways to capture emails using any social media platform. All you have to do is share them and talk about them consistently. So whether you are more of a Facebook person and you're making these as posts and talking about them in stories, or if you're an Instagram person, the best way to do this is just set it up on your calendar, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm talking about just reduced listings on Wednesday. I'm talking about new listings on Thursday. I'm talking about new construction on Friday or open houses on Friday. And you can share a separate link for each of these types of properties on those days. Or you're talking about buyers on Tuesdays and you're always sharing that buyer guide every Tuesday. I promise you, no one's going to be hip to your schedule of when you share what. It just makes it so that it's easy for you to actually show up and share these things. That is 100% the easiest, fastest, quickest way to build your database, is just by sharing your tools that capture email addresses every single day. Other ways that you can do that is by running Facebook ads, and then we're going to get into
Bring it up here. Oh, am I
a little bit.
on? No, maybe
So now that you
yes.
have an understanding of why we should use email marketing and how well that it can work with social media and the strategy you're already doing there, we're going to deep dive into my favorite strategy for how to leverage email with warm to hot leads, utilizing something else you guys are probably already doing in your business. Who here is generating leads with open houses? Yes, drop a yes, raise your hand. Cool. And who would like to convert more leads from open houses? And I'm not just talking about the people who are like, oh, yes, I like you. Can you help me find a house? That's definitely not everyone that walks through an open house that you talk to, right? So open houses have the highest email marketing conversion rate for me. In the first month that I implemented the strategy I'm going to share with you, I made $17,000 in commission from a client that did not even want to speak to me. Like, they literally had "I hate realtors" tattooed on their forehead when they walked in. They did not want to give me their information. I'm going to share that story in a little bit. But open houses are the best place to meet warm to hot leads because they're likely already in the market to shop for homes. And many people don't yet have an agent that come through an open house, as you know, and it's often the starting point for their home buying journey. Like they're usually just in the discovery phase. So I think of open houses like very similar to the acting world. Many moons ago, I tried that. So if you think of your open house like an audition, you have an opportunity in a very short window of time to perform your abilities as an agent. It's the impression you're making. You're basically showcasing all your skills within a very short window. And in this window, they may also be auditioning other agents. So if they're walking through your open house today, chances are they're probably walking through some other open houses today, especially if they're not currently represented by an agent, right? So your goal is within this short window of time to get a call back or land the part, have them make the decision that they want to work with you. So I always consider an open house like an audition. So one of the ways that we want to stand out and be able to connect and get a call back or land the part is through proper lead capture. How many of you guys are using like a traditional sign-in sheet right now when people come in? I want to actually like try to get the gallery here. I want to see if there are a good amount of people. I don't know if I can actually scroll through. Cool. Traditional sign-in sheets. Oh, not everyone has their camera on. Okay, well, there we go. And is anybody using like a digital method right now? Anybody? No? Okay. So KV Core has this amazing iPad app. It's their open house app. It's absolutely amazing. If you can't do this with KV Core, you could essentially create like a Google form. I know there's other apps out there too, but this is the one that I feel works the best, also because I use the CRM. The way that it works is you set it up beforehand. You put in, this is an example of what it looks like. You put in the MLS number of the property. It's going to populate this pretty picture and all these details here. And there's a little form for them to sign in here. I ask for the email address at minimum. I actually leave the phone number optional. I don't want someone to feel like they have to give me their phone number. And if they do feel that way, they're probably giving me like a wrong phone number. So I want someone to like, if they're giving me their phone number, it's because they want to. So I do the email address at minimum. I'm good with that. I can work with that. And then the cool part about this app is it works offline. So if you're at a house that doesn't have Wi-Fi connection or you don't have a hotspot, you set this up beforehand, they sign in, and as soon as you're connected to Wi-Fi again, it will automatically upload everybody into your CRM and begin the follow-up process that I'm going to teach you guys today. So it's a really cool app. If you're not using it, definitely check it out. Some tips for capturing this email. Asking everyone to sign in upon entry. I know a lot of people are afraid to do that. I hear it a lot from agents, like, how do you ask? Because people will just straight up tell me no. And I think part of it is when you have a sign-in sheet, it very much looks optional. When you are approaching them with something like serious, like an iPad, it's like put together. It's like, you know, it feels like a formality to them, like something that they must do. I also do my best to greet everyone right at the door. I've heard agents tell me that they put like a QR code on the front door to get people to sign in. I am not scanning that. There's no way. Like I never want to scan a QR code unless I'm sitting down at a restaurant and I'm like I need it to look at the menu, like COVID times. Sometimes I'm scanning a QR code if I see a sign or like a piece of marketing that has something compelling that I want, absolutely. But I am not scanning that to walk in the door to look at a house. So I hand them as soon as they walk in the door. I say, welcome in. The homeowners ask that everybody sign in today. And I usually don't get any pushback presenting it like that. I'm very direct, but kind and welcoming, of course. And I want to like help anyone who's kind of hesitant on asking about that, just to like flip the script in your mind. You're holding this open house on your own time. You literally take hours to prep and show up and be at an open house. This is your time. So make the most of your time. You're opening the door. The very least is they could provide an email address to you in exchange for your time. Also, another way to put it is, as a security thing, at least getting a log of who enters the house. without like having to ask for IDs, but it kind of makes sense that the homeowner would want to know how many people came in their house, what their names were, things like that. So there's a few different ways to frame that if you struggle with it. If I don't get the opportunity to get them to sign in as soon as they walk in, like if I'm talking to another group or it's really busy, I will track them down and I will get that information the very best I can. I would say I have probably like a 98%. It's probably a little bit higher than that, but I'm being conservative, sign-in rate, because that's the most important thing I care about, is getting them to sign in, even more than like trying to figure out who I'm having meaningful conversations with. I think those are just going to happen. Those are going to flow, but I want to make sure I touch everyone to at least get their email address. So if I've said this 1,000 times, I'm sorry. It's a very important piece of what we're doing today. So get their email address. The goal is to create multiple opportunities to share our value. And so that's part of what the art of lead capture is all about. And with these tools that we have access to, it really helps us lead capture effectively. And I know not everyone's with the same brokerage, so I'm not going to press on that too hard. But I have done this presentation for other EXP agents, so that's why it talks about it in there. I taught this within my own group. So more lead capture tips. So squeeze pages. If you have the ability within any CRM to create something like this, where you can create a defined set of listings, it's really such a great tool. So I'm going to show you another way that I use this at the open house. So I will print out a flyer, as most of us do for open houses, right, about the property. But I'm going to be a little bit more strategic about how I structure this flyer, because I want this flyer to actually do some work for me. I don't want it to just end up in the trash. So number one, on the front of the flyer, it's going to be like your typical flyer. I have a little QR code that goes to like the standard property website within our CRM. And this, we have the ability to do this for any listing, even if it's not our own. It just will populate a property page within the CRM. So I know some people use property websites on their own listing. Do what works for your business. But this is kind of just like a standard open house flyer. Now on the back, I have a QR code that it says, scan this code for more listings in Oxnard Beaches. This is a specific area. So this is really important, especially when you're using this particular CRM. What this is going to do is send them properties that are very similar, that I've defined in a specific price range and area that someone who's looking at the house they're visiting me at today might be interested in as well. So I will define it depending on what house it is. I may do it just by price range. I may do it just by neighborhood. But if someone's interested in this house, they're probably interested in what else is going on nearby or in that price range. So this is an immediate way to show up with value that other agents are not doing. Things I've seen at open houses from other agents are printing out comp lists, or they might print out other listings, but they're doing it so that they can justify the price and how great the listing is that they're showing. They're not necessarily saying like, hey, I want to help you find something else if this doesn't work for you. They'll usually typically bring that up in conversation. You have this like ready to go for them. So they get in the car, they scan this, they see what else is there. It's on your link. It's going to notify you. You're going to be able to see what properties they look at if you use it with KV Core. It'll tell you like so-and-so viewed this property. And it's a great follow-up point. It's a data point that you can be like, oh, I saw you were looking at this one. You came through my open house. I know that didn't work. Do you want to set up a showing for this one that you were looking at? It's a great data point to have. So that's just one of the ways I love to use it. Just like I just said, most of the time people who walk into the open house you're at are not buying that particular house, right? So that's obviously what turns them into a buyer lead. And what they really do want are more properties to look at, even if especially if they're not represented by an agent. They're relying on like Zillow and navigating the like weird open house map on there. So we're delivering that value right away from the flyer. And once they scan it, they enter their email address, it will connect profiles, and they can look at any additional properties from there. Another way that I love to use the squeeze page is in conversation. So if you do have the opportunity to talk to people, one of the conversion steps I take in the conversation, I have this squeeze page saved to my notes app on my phone. So I have the properties ready to go. I already did my research on what my target buyer would be looking for in relation to this house. And so I'm talking to them and I hear maybe they say something like, oh, the yard's not right for us. We're looking for XYZ. And I'm going to go, oh, I actually have some properties in mind for you. What's your number? Let me text this to you. You're probably going to like something here. And then whatever you want to say, but you're then already engaging in a text conversation with them. You're showing up immediately with value. I guarantee you no other agent that they are meeting that day are going to be that prepared. It positions you like a market expert, like you know all the listings, they're literally in your back pocket. So that's another great conversion step when you're at the open house. Before I get into the email marketing piece of this, I just want to make sure everyone's tracking. Are there any questions so far? I see a lot of stuff in the chat. I'm going to try to go back and look at this. Remax now is KV Core. Yep, Stand Store, Flowdesk. Yeah, okay. All right. So if anyone doesn't have anything, I'll move on. So now that we know how to capture leads at the open house, let's talk about how we use email marketing to convert them into clients. It's great if we get to have those conversations with people, we're texting with them. Usually they're going to probably convert pretty quickly organically. But there's a lot of people that come through that just don't really say anything, or we never get the opportunity to talk to them. And that's where email becomes really, really powerful. And they might not be ready to transact yet either. Sometimes people are very much in the beginning stages, or they're curious of what's out there. They're a year away. Wouldn't you still like to work with that person? You would like to be the one that they call a year from now, right? And all you had to do was meet them at an open house. So that's what makes this part of the strategy really major, because it automates that follow-up process. So you don't have to think about all the tens of dozens of people that you meet at open houses in an entire year and personally follow up with them for 365 days until they're ready to transact, right? You're not going to do that. You probably don't do that as is, unless somebody is like a hot lead. You probably let that fall off the earth. And maybe if you're like an A+ student in here already, you're maybe putting them on your monthly newsletter, but I don't know if you're doing that. So we're going to talk about doing so much more. So another reason this is major is it helps you stand out from the rest of the agents that they possibly meet at other open houses. And the magic is truly in the follow-up, because no one else is going to follow up in this way. So let's talk about my follow-up workflow. And I'm going to try to go through this slowly. I know I'm talking fast because I want to make sure we have time for questions. So they start their journey here on the open house app. This is the sign-in. Whatever sign-in you use, I very much prefer a digital sign-in process. It just looks official. So you're going to have them digitally sign in. That lead is going to go to your CRM to be tagged as a new buyer. That new buyer then goes to my email system. I personally use Flowdesk, and I use a program called Zapier. Maybe you guys, hopefully some of you have heard of it, but Zapier is a third-party tool that connects thousands of apps and helps them talk to each other and send data back and forth. It sounds more complex than it is. It's actually a super easy workflow to connect your Facebook, connect your email program, connect this, and it does all the work for you. So all these apps talk to each other. So you're not sitting there manually adding in everybody's email and name and info in your CRM and then in your email program or this or that. Some people email from their CRM. That's perfectly fine to do in this strategy. My workflow has a few extra steps, and I'll tell you why. I like to use Flowdesk because it makes really pretty emails for my newsletters, and it allows me to group everybody very easily by different segments. Buyers, sellers, community, investors. I can create lead magnets and landing pages, sign-in forms. It's so flexible, and it really helps my overall email strategy. The most important part of it that the KV Core CRM is lacking, there is a feature it lacks, is analytics and data for emails. So with Flowdesk, I can see the open rate, who clicked on it, what links they clicked on, how many times they clicked on it. And this is really valuable data because that tells me how serious somebody is and how often they're reading my emails and that tells me, oh, they clicked on this, they're interested in such and such, that's a great follow-up point. So I'm really looking for any ways that I can actually personally follow up using automation. Does that make sense? So,
Can I ask a quick question?
absolutely.
So we just bought Flowdesk to start doing some campaigns for our group. We just started a team here. And do you use do you have to use the templates that they give you, or do you choose to? And if not, where do you get different like campaigns and stuff like that from?
So I do use their templates and I do kind of dive into this a little bit at the end of the presentation,
Okay.
but I believe we're going to talk about these drip campaigns first, and then I'll get into that. I will answer that question,
Perfect.
but I don't want to make people's heads spin because there's a lot of components to email marketing. But I will answer that. So
Okay. Thank you.
this part specifically is talking about how we get them as a lead in their email and then they go through our drip campaign. And then we'll talk about other types of email nurturing right after. So basically, once they get into my email program, it's going to immediately trigger an email drip campaign to start. Everybody in this room knows what a drip campaign is, correct? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure everybody's always at different stages when I come into these rooms. So I don't want to be over your head, but I don't want to be too basic either. So you can do drip campaigns from any email platform. You can do them inside of KV Core. You can do them inside of some people use Follow Up Boss. There's so many different ones, but however you want to set up your drip campaigns is fine with me. Just implement this and have them set up. So inside of the drip campaign, you want to have strategically written emails to convert open house leads right away. So we're talking about asking them to what kind of properties they're looking for so we can set them up on a custom search. We're talking about having them book a consultation and explaining what that looks like, and sharing maybe a Calendly link to book on your calendar or however you do that. So we really want, the goal of the initial few emails is to try to get that appointment right away. If we don't have an immediate conversion, we're going to spread out those emails a little bit further apart over the next 6 months, at least. A year is great for the reason I said a little bit ago. Some people aren't ready for a year, so you don't want to lose touch with them, but we'll talk about how to stay in front of people outside of the drip campaigns in a little bit. So with this strategy and setting up these drip campaigns, you won't lose track of your leads as easily. There's no lead left behind. Everyone is literally going to get emailed that day, like that second right on time. Because you really do have a short window where your conversion percentage drastically goes down. So, and if they're not ready, they're not ready. That's why the nurture piece is so important. Most warm to hot leads will convert right away. If not, you will remain top of mind for when they are ready. It's 100% automated, but it does not completely replace personal touch. I really want to emphasize this. I talk about automation a lot, and especially on TikTok, I will get like people who troll and say like how robotic that is and how people don't like that. It's so not true. I am very personal, but I want to create leverage in my business. So this way I'm not leaving anybody behind. I'm potentially opening doors for conversations that I didn't get to have or couldn't have. There's so many reasons why, but just as I was saying, I'm looking at this data. I'm looking for who can I have meaningful personal conversations with and personally touch. It's a smart way to do it. So rather than sitting there combing through a whole list of people and just randomly calling them, I'm being strategic. I'm looking for people who are potentially giving me signs, giving me markers that they might be ready. And those are the people I'm spending my time trying to connect with and build a relationship with. So that's one of the reasons the automation is so important. It helps you do a better job when you're doing those personal touches. It makes them more effective. So this is a little video of what I'm going to pause it real quick, of what the drip campaign looks like inside of Flowdesk. So it starts with they are tagged as a buyer. There's this little intro email where immediately I tell them like who I am, what they can expect from me, a little bit about my mission statement and what makes me stand out as an agent. And then I'm inviting them to connect with me on whatever social channels they have, because I kind of want to just be like everywhere in their face all the time. So whatever opportunity I have for that. Then 3 hours later, it's going to send them another email asking them specifically what they're looking for. And all of these are sprinkled with different intentional ways to get them to try to convert and book an appointment. Throughout the rest of this, I'm just sharing different tips, different information, what it's like to work with me, maybe some reviews from past clients. And as you can see, as this continues to go on, the times are that there's a delay that spreads out even further between emails, because we don't want to badger them every day for 6 months. If they're not taking action, they're not taking action, but we still want to touch in with them. So that's kind of the flow of what a drip campaign looks like, to give you some context. I'm going to tell you some key elements of what these emails should contain. Storytelling is huge. This is how you don't write a boring AF email. I say this a lot on Instagram if you decide to follow me. Nobody cares about a market update. They do not. They're so boring. Nobody cares about the numbers. No one knows what DOM means. That doesn't help solve their problem. What does help solve their problem and make them choose to work with you is understanding what value you bring as an agent. There are so many people out there who do not understand the value of a real estate agent still to this day. For example, somebody that I was talking to, I actually did a post about this too recently. Like I've seen this multiple times where on Facebook, mom groups on Facebook, where they're like, oh, we've been looking for a year. We don't have an agent. We don't need an agent. Please don't comment agents. We're just wondering if you know of any houses coming up. Like these are the type of people we're talking about that also come into your open house. You have this incredible opportunity right now to give them a whole different picture of what they think of real estate agents and educate them on what that looks like. So use these emails to showcase what it's like to work with you, like what your unique value proposition is as an agent, and tell them how you win big for your clients. Share that story about how you were working with someone who previously didn't have an agent. They couldn't find a house for a year. They started working with you and they were under contract in 30 days on their dream home. Whatever that is, share those stories in these emails. Show them. Every email should have a CTA or a call to action. Call to action is exactly what we want them to do. What step do we want them to take next? Do we want them to schedule a consultation on our calendar? Do we want to set up a property search for them? Whatever the goal is of that specific email, you want to make it loud and clear, make it easy for them to take that next step. People do not do things on their own. That's why most postcards like end up in the trash, or emails just get open and you never hear responses because you just put your phone number there. People are so used to like this quick formatted content, swipe, click. Like if you don't make it easy for them, they're probably not like going to actually dial in your phone number anymore. That's like not the world we live in today, unfortunately, but it's the reality. So you also want to make sure you're sprinkling in valuable information about the buying process, things specific to your local market. Market updates are important. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that the way that most people do them are so boring and they don't shed light on what it actually means to them. So I really love creating like a video where I'm specifically talking about scenarios and what these numbers mean to them, why this is a good time for them, those types of things. So by sharing your local market stats, you just want to paint a really clear picture of what those stats actually mean to their timing right now to transact in real estate. And it does position you, by knowing your numbers, as a local market expert. It's just in the way that you package it up. So if you hear me say market updates are boring, they are, but I think they're essential. You just need to make them unboring. And then as a bonus, always invite them consistently to get to know you more on social media. And using video is great too. Like if you sit there and spend the time to like create a welcome video or a check-in video or something like that and pop that in here. Video is really powerful. It just creates that face-to-face connection as if you're having a conversation with someone. That's why video works so well and social media is so huge, and why reels and things like that do so well. So you want to time them for consistent follow-up every few days to a week at a time. You can spread it out as the campaign goes on and more time can lapse between emails. If you need help with these templates, I have them completely done for you. I'll share my store at the end of this. I have buyer templates, seller templates, community and sphere, and I actually have it all bundled up. I'll tell you a little bit about it later. But the way that I designed them was, if anybody remembers Mad Libs, anyone have those books as a child? I don't know how old everyone is in here, but I'm a 90s kid. So we had like these Mad Lib books where it was like fill in the blank to like kind of create a story. These are like that. So the whole goal to make them unboring and to make them actually convert and work for you is to infuse your own personality and your brand voice. So I've designed them for that reason. They are not cut and dry copy paste. They're copy paste. They've done most of the work for you, but it's just going to allow you to put your little personal touch on it and help you stand out. I love getting responses like this very consistently to my emails. People even just saying like, I really enjoy your content. Thank you. Your email marketing is good. And the reason why I share this with you is that this client actually knows this is marketing. They know they're in a drip campaign, and people might feel a little bit resistant to that idea, but I'm going to tell you why you don't want to be. Every real business, company, product, anything out there, I guarantee you guys right now are on drip campaigns for. Target, it doesn't matter who it is, you are already on drip campaigns. That is the world that we live in. And the reason why is these companies are so smart. They know that they can get your attention in your email. You're checking your email every single day. People are hip to the fact that they're on a drip campaign, but why this is important is that it demonstrates to them that you actually have a system, that you have your ish together as an agent and you're professional. So it actually looks really good on your behalf to have a system, even if they know it's marketing. Nobody cares about being marketed to if it's good marketing. I'm a prime example. I'm like the worst consumer. I will buy anything. You could sell me anything, and I know it's marketing and I know I'm being sold, but I will buy anything. So people don't care about that. So don't stress on it if that feels like this looks manufactured. It's all in the way you package it up. So let's go over the system and strategy again, in a little bit more in depth this time. So you meet the lead, you're going to capture the lead. Once you capture the lead, the goal is to convert the lead right away. If you don't convert the lead right away, you want to nurture that lead. You want them to go into your database, and you want to keep up with frequent touches, because frequent touches mean top of mind awareness, which means clients for life, and also means referrals. Another reason emails are so powerful is even people like who haven't responded to them. I've had people like, I didn't even know were on my email list, and I've been out showing properties with them because they contacted me some other way. And they go, oh, I so look forward to your weekly emails because you're always like, you always know what's going on this weekend. So like, I go to Alyssa to know what's happening in town this weekend. People say things like that. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So that's literally why I'm here at the showing with them. They didn't just like my Instagram or something. So I hear comments like that a lot, and that's why that top of mind awareness is so important. The other reason this can be important is, for example, another reason you want to show up on social media in this way. I have people that I meet where they've already transacted in real estate, but then they end up referring me instead of the agent they work with to their friends because they're so impressed by the content and the knowledge. They would recommend you over the person that they worked with. So referrals are a huge part of this too. It's not just about people who are ready to transact in real estate today. Email really allows me to do that. So I'm going to tell you about this story. This is Angela and Michael. They look really sweet, and they are. When we first met, they did not want to talk to me at all. They were those people who came in the open house. They didn't really say anything. They actually denied my attempt at sign-in. And I let them walk around. I gave them their space. I'm usually pretty good at breaking the ice, but some people just don't want to talk, and I respect that as well. By the end of it though, they came back in the kitchen. They let me know that they had been looking, they were these people. They've been looking for a year. They don't have an agent. They had something very, very specific they were looking for. This wasn't it. So we're just kind of talking back and forth. Finally, at the end of it, he goes, I guess I'll give you my email. Please only email me if you see this, this, and this. It's like, okay, thanks for filling that out. Have a great day. Nice to meet you. He gets my drip campaign because everybody does. That's the way it works. I can't set aside to like not enter his email address for that. It just does it. He got my drip campaign. He set up a consultation to like the biggest shock of my life. He immediately responded, set up a consultation with him and his wife. We had like an hour-long Zoom consultation. We hit it off. It was wonderful. They were super excited to like sign right then and there to work with me. And then we ended up finding them a home in a completely different area, completely not what they thought they were looking for. And like about a week or two, I was like writing the offer on vacation. We closed within 30 days of me meeting them. That's like how amazing. I would have never, ever had this transaction if it wasn't for having that email system. I wouldn't have, even if I probably personally followed up with him, I doubt it would have turned into anything. It was that perfect timing and way that the email was structured. So, it really does work. And it's amazing how it picks up people who wouldn't otherwise be speaking to you. And then fast forward, we're still like amazing friends, go to their Christmas party and blah, 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 blah. And they're super sweet and they're so happy with their house. So final notes, drip campaigns are only one tool in the toolbox. So this is where we're going to talk into the other types of email we send. And I'm going to answer your question right here, Nicole. I love to send a monthly newsletter, and I do use like Flowdesk has these pretty pre-built like templates. I love to use those for the monthly newsletter. I think those should be graphical. I think they should be all the things. They should look very nicely produced and on brand. But then I also send a weekly email to stay top of mind. And the reason I like Flowdesk is because I may not email all my segments every week, but I'm sending a weekly email to someone. So I may send it to everyone. I may just send a seller focused email. I may just send a buyer focused email. Not everyone's content overlaps. So I really want to make sure I'm hitting those buckets. So I will send a weekly email straight, short, sweet, to the point. Usually I'm sharing something like how to hack an interest rate right now. Or here's 3 things to do in town this weekend. Here's a list of all the farmers markets. Here's why you want to list your home in the fall. Here's what makes living in blah, blah, blah so great. Whatever the piece of content it is, it's usually short and sweet and just text-based. So I don't use any templates. The reason why is I think it looks a little bit more like that email was intended for them. It looks like a personally written email and not so produced. And I just think that kind of like builds a little bit of personalization and connection doing it that way. So that's how I do my weekly emails. I really mix it up between real estate content and local content. Nothing creates top of mind awareness for free like email does, and it does it better than social media. But you can use social media to build this up, and you want to. So hopefully that all makes sense to you guys. This is you could scan this. This goes to my Stan store, and I'll drop some links in the chat at the end too for all the resources. But you can find links to all the tools that I use too in the Stan store. There's a links section. But the bundle has seller templates, buyer templates, like introducing your sphere of influence or like a local community sequence that's in there. And I have 40 email ideas that will carry you through the entire year. Like if you do a monthly newsletter, that's 12 newsletters, 40 other weeks in the year. So it's 40 email ideas. And they're strategically written subject lines to get people to open the email. And then you kind of write the rest of the email for however it fits for like your city or your area. I also have a 12-month email marketing plan built into this bundle too. So if you really want to hit the ground running with email and you want to set aside like an hour and just get it done and implement, this is done for you. And it's mapped out exactly, proven to work for me and lots of other agents. So that's that. This is a QR code link to my Instagram, but I guess I'll leave that up a little bit longer. You'll find my Instagram on that too. Does anybody have any questions?
So I do. I have a couple questions. So
Okay.
for the bundle that you have for doing all this, like realistically, how long does it take to set all of this up? Because this is also like I'm in your funnel. Like I get all your emails and I have sent some to Nikki and I'm like, okay, we need to implement some of what she's doing into our marketing for Modern Agent Blueprint. Because we want to, you know, all of these things that we're doing and we're providing are free, right? Like there are people who pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to come to trainings that we're doing. So we want to be able to provide more value. But I was like, I love, one, your emails don't feel stuffy and they don't feel like, they do feel like, hey, I'm here, I'm helping. And they don't, like, I know it's a drip campaign, obviously, but I think it's like, you know, you do a really, really good job. And I love that. And I think Nikki and I could absolutely do that with Modern Agent Blueprint. But like realistically setting it all up, like how long do you think that actually takes?
So I think that just is going to vary on like comfortability with whatever platform you're using. You said you're using Flowdesk. There are a lot of tutorials within Flowdesk, and they're pretty user friendly. So that would be like probably the longest part, but actually building out the content, like this content's already done for you. You need to go through each email and personalize it. What I like to actually do is, like, these are in Canva and PDFs. They come in two ways. You can copy all the text and the copy into like a Google Drive. I build out all my emails in a Google Doc, and then I copy paste them into Flowdesk because it's easier to edit. I want to, like, those are like two different sides of my brain as far as I'm concerned. One is kind of like creative. I'm in the zone. I want this to jump out. I want to make sure I don't have any mistakes. And then building the campaign comes next. So if you're asking how long it would take, it's probably more subject to like your ability using the platform. So I can't speak to that. But if you were to use these templates, like for the buyer seller side, not necessarily for Modern Agent Blueprint, I would say it'd probably take you about an hour to like go through, make sure these are super dialed and personalized. And then however long it would take you to put them into Flowdesk. And I can tell you that would save you hours from writing this many emails, like hours, days, weeks.
Right.
And I know real estate agents because I am one. I know how easy it is to like, you go sit in on a training and you learn something really valuable and you're like, great, I'm going to do that. I'm going to schedule that out. And then you never get to it. So my advice is, and I'm not trying to sell anyone on anything, whether you do this yourself or use mine, do it right away. So you actually do it. But this makes it really easy. So, but yeah, I would say like a couple hours in total.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any questions?
Dee says she uses Wise Agent and it's $32 a month and she can keep up with clients on it. I don't know what Wise Agent is. Dee, do you want to, what is that?
Well, it's a CRM system and it mostly is geared towards real estate agents. And it allows me to keep track of closings coming up on commissions. It has a monthly, when you add in birth dates and home anniversaries, I can actually look at a calendar a month in advance and start getting all of my thank you cards or anniversary cards or birthday cards all lined up. And then I have them ready to roll, put sticky notes on when I need to mail them. It has allowed me, because when I was with Remax and was converting over to KV Core, and I was just very reluctant about putting my information into KV Core because I knew once I left Remax, which I did in February, that they were going to control that and I was going to lose all of that content in there. So I decided to play around with Wise Agent before I committed. to putting all the stuff in to KV Core, but it was amazing. And from what I was told before I left, when we converted over to KV Core, it was going to be a $1,400 level to be in what we were going to be getting at Remax as part of our, Remax fees and everything. But I, again, was just not comfortable with committing to it and not having something that if I left that I could take with me, and I could do that with Wise Agent.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Okay,
I think Wise Agent, there's nothing wrong with using that. This is different. So this isn't going to tell you people's birthdays or anything like that. That's a whole other valuable thing. So this is on top of that. So I'll tell you, I use something similar. In addition to KV Core, I use Follow Up Boss to help me keep track of things like that. And the reason why I like Follow Up Boss layered onto, I have like a whole tech stack. So sorry if you're like, what else is this now? I don't want to confuse people, but I added on Follow Up Boss this year because it helps track the transaction journey a little bit better. Like I think of KV Core, it's a CRM, but to me, it's like a lead machine. Like I think it is probably the most powerful lead generating CRM there is. But for me, it doesn't work for organizing people for like actually following up within your database. So that's why I like Follow Up Boss, because I can create different action plans, set the birthdays, all that kind of stuff. And that has a whole other set of automations in it. Again, I don't send my emails through that, but I do use something like that. So I think it's a powerful tool to have in your toolbox, is something that works for you to be able to have those personal touches as well. And the drip campaign, sorry, I was just had another light bulb. The drip campaign, in your drip campaign, Dee, what if that's something that you really like to do? If you're meeting someone at an open house, they're probably not going to feel comfortable giving you their birthday, but maybe like further in your drip campaign somewhere, you can say, I love to send out something, a little something special from me to you on your birthday. Reply back with your birthday, or fill out this form here or whatever, and start collecting that kind of information from people too with your drip campaign.
Stalk them on Facebook. That's how you get it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a manual step, but yeah, and involuntary, but yeah.
Okay, so there's a question Mary sent. Would you go through and add all older people from open houses to the new drip campaign?
I think that's really smart, Mary. I actually would do that, but I would make it make sense. So what you could do is you could have two drips. So you have one for like brand new leads you just met, because the text is gonna, like if you use my templates, the text is gonna make sense for just meeting. But what you could do is copy that drip, put a different segment to it, and just change that first email, like, hey, we met, not too long ago through an open house. I want to keep, like, just to kind of make it make sense of why they're getting that email, to kind of help them through that journey and just seem a little bit more authentic in the follow-up. So that's what I would do.
What about like clients who've already bought? Like they've already bought with you, or they're potentially, they're just like SOI. How would you connect them into your CR or into your drips?
Through the weekly emails. So I'm staying top of mind for those people by manually writing weekly emails to them. So that's why those people, like, you don't want to just be sending out real estate information all the time. Sprinkling in real estate is great because maybe they've lived in their house for a few years, or maybe they're ready to buy an investment property, or they still want to know you as a real estate agent, refer you to their friends. But those people are going to want home maintenance information, or checking their equity, or they're going to want totally not real estate stuff, like what's going on in town this weekend. Stuff like that, like more local knowledge. So that's why I really use those weekly emails that aren't drips. They're just written weekly emails. They're short and they're sweet to just stay in front of people and provide a little bit of value whenever I can. So that's how I use that. And then to get them in there, you would just want to create like a segment from your like existing list on your CRM, or that's also why we use social media for that. So another great way to get local people or SOI people. And I have a little sequence for that in the bundle, but a way to get them in there is by having like a local guide or some sort of a checklist or something local that you can advertise in your stories or on social media to collect emails.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was making all that noise.
I
don't know.
didn't hear anything.
Okay. I'm over here like multitasking, like doing
Oh.
anyways. Okay, another question I have is, so this is where I get like analysis paralysis and I start overthinking. So the area I work in is a pretty broad range. So when I think of like local things, when you do your local things, are you literally only doing like your local area, or are you doing like a whole slew of areas?
I'd pretty much stick to my county because I serve multiple cities in my county. That's just kind of how my area is set up. I realize some people have like one city they represent, some people have like tri-city area or what have you. So I would diversify it on the email. I know in marketing and we tend to say like niche down. I think that's good, but for the sake of these emails, like my list is very big. So I want to make sure I have something for everyone. And you want your list to grow really big. So I would keep it pretty broad. I'll even share things from time to time that are happening like outside of our county that are like a bigger deal, like a bigger event or something that I know people who live here go to.
Cool. Perfect. All right. So you answered Angie's question. Does anybody else have any other questions? We're a little over on time, so I want to respect everybody's time, but this has been so good. And I'm like, now I got to go buy your system. I got to add one more thing to my whole list of things I need to do, but I'm excited about it. Anybody else have anything? Nobody really? Gosh, you just did such a good job, Alyssa. Everyone's
Did I
like,
talk too much?
no, it was great. I really liked it. It's really good.
Right.
But I've been following your stuff and I love all your things that you're doing. So I'm just
Thank
excited that you
you.
joined us today.
Thank
Well,
you for having me. This was fun.
yeah, I'm super excited to have you on. Okay, so next week, guys, we have Hannah Romero on, and she's going to be talking about selling on socials and all kinds of different stuff. She's another one. I've taken several of her courses on different social selling things, and a lot of it you can use for like your e-commerce stuff like you do, but also you can translate that into real estate for a lot of your stuff. So she's going to be on next week. And then the first week of October, we are going to be at EXPCon. Are you going to be there, Alyssa?
I am not, sadly, I'm not.
No.
We're tied down to a launch of another business, so I won't be able to go. But
Well,
I
that's
really wanted
important,
to.
I suppose.
Yeah, we're opening a winery in town, so it's
That's awesome.
yeah, we're taking a whack at a local business. So
Like, is it going to be like you're growing grapes type thing?
so we make the wine, but we don't grow our own grapes. We source the fruit. So we making all of our own wine, and then this will be like a tasting room. So like if you like to go wine tasting, that's what we're opening. So
Well, that's
you'll
super
have to come
cool.
visit.
Yeah, right. I know. I'll have to. Okay, well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining us on Modern Agent Blueprint. We will see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye guys. Thank you.